Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show on the Love Is Podcast. I'm excited to welcome the host of the Love Is Podcast, Kim Sorrelle. Kim, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest.
I'm doing great. Thank you, Neil. Hope you are too. And I am excited about our guest. Ashley Bratcher, you have a bio like no other. You got a college scholarship for softball. You have been in the championships for long and short board surfing. You're a BJJ fighter, along with having a production company, award-winning screenwriter, actress, author, illustrator, mother, wife. Is there anything that you can't do, Ashley? Is there anything out there?
Well, no, but I'm blushing now because that was quite the intro. I have a lot to live up to.
Well, amazing. You've had an amazing life, obviously, and you're very talented,
Thank
for
you.
sure. And you've had some interesting roles, and you've got some things coming up too that are great. And the one that is releasing in a couple days here, Finding Faith. What a fabulous movie. Playing Victoria, this Christian faith columnist, and um, it's such a deep role because it's so leveled. And one of the things that I got out of the movie is marriage. It doesn't have to end because you disconnect for a minute.
Mhm. Right.
What do you think? Yeah. What is your take on that?
I mean, absolutely. This is the first movie that I had really done in 2 years. I had turned down a lot of roles because I had started being more specific about the content I wanted to create and the purpose that I wanted to have in this industry. So when Finding Faith came across my desk, it really resonated with me because I married my high school sweetheart. We've been together for 20 years. It's not easy to be married, and I had a lot of friends that were struggling with their marriages, and I wanted them to remember the love that brought you together in the first place. I wanted them to know that when you put Jesus at the center, as hard as it can be sometimes to serve one another, that is where you can really get back to the connection. I think that it's super important to continue to date and to really just lean into each other during hard times. It's really easy for us to disconnect, like you said, or to run parallel lives when careers are taking off or things are happening and there's trials. When we lean back into each other and we remember why and remember the true sense of a biblical marriage that is service to one another, then it's much easier to get through those hard times.
What do you think, from doing this movie and all the other things when you're seeing that so many marriages are breaking up? What do you think the reason are more and more people aren't getting married anymore as well?
Well, I think it goes back to this sort of selfish, instant gratification society that has developed. Everything on social media happens so fast. People lose interest really fast. And we're taught in this society right now that it's about us, right? It's about going and traveling and finding yourself and self care. I think for a lot of young people, that is the message. It's about me, 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 me. It's about career. And it's not so much about family, or at least it hasn't been. I think that the pandemic shifted that a little bit, that people's perspective on life, they started to think, you know what, family is important. The dynamic of being with someone and spending my life with someone is important. And it's the same thing in finding faith. That's the message is that when we're going through hard times, having that rock in your spouse is so wonderful and beautiful. And that is, we're not meant to live life alone. And having a spouse that is there to support you, I really think that's a great foundation for life and getting through these things. We're meant to have a partner.
I think that's so true. That's a point well made, and I love what you said about family and prioritizing, right? Like family should come above career and above everything else. And the part that you played, Victoria, not only was Victoria struggling in her marriage, but at the same time, suddenly she lost her mom. And so two gigantic life things happening back to back, and it made Victoria question her faith. And I'd like you to speak on that a bit because I think that also happens, right? When people go through hard times.
Absolutely, especially for Christians. It's easy for us to go, "Why, God? I'm trying to do what I thought you wanted me to do, so why is this bad thing happening to me?" It's important to remember, though, that God is good all the time. So when we're seeking his will and we're asking questions of God, we can trust that his plan will come to fruition. And we have to believe in the hope that he has for our lives. He has a plan that is much greater than our own. With Victoria, the struggle within her career comes from the fact that she's a faith advice columnist. So she's supposed to be guiding people in their faith. And here she is having this crisis of faith where she's saying, why does it feel like my life is falling apart? I think that we all experience that to some degree in our lives. And when we start to ask questions and we are vulnerable and honest about it, then it allows God to work through other people to reach us and lift us up sometimes. I know that there's been moments in my life where I felt so down that I didn't think I was worthy of praying for myself. I didn't think my prayers were worthy, but I was open enough that other people stepped in and they spoke words of life into me. And that's where I think we can really have an impact on other people's lives through our stories and our testimonies.
And if we're not telling people how we were rock bottom and then was able to overcome that, young people today are just not are gonna not when they do feel down, depressed, and upset, they're not gonna know where to turn.
Right. It's really easy to feel left out. I mean, again, I don't mean to keep bringing up the pandemic, but we saw suicide rates go through the roof.
And they're
And
still through the roof. That's sad.
right.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm bringing it up because it goes back to hope and the hope that is found in Jesus Christ. And I don't think that they're getting that message enough. I think that, living your life and sharing your testimony of where you were and what God has brought you through is a way that we can really reach people. Your testimony is so powerful in being able to lead people to Jesus. So I really hope that people walk away from this film understanding that Victoria went through some rough stuff. Her marriage is falling apart. Her family dynamic is just completely chaotic. And she's not really getting what she wants out of life. And I want people to understand that there is hope in God's plan for your life.
That's so good. That is so good. And for you personally, you've kind of dedicated yourself, it seems, to doing these faith-based films, these incredible films, and being a part of that community that has grown and expanded and done so well in the past several years. What is what is that dedication like to you? How do you see your future?
I really surrendered my career to the Lord. And I said, God, if it's for me, bless it. And if it's not, then block it. And with open hands, I will let you lead. And that doesn't always mean that it's strictly faith based film. But what it does mean to me is that I want to be able to have a positive impact on people's lives. And I want to be able to live my life in a way that does exemplify Christ's love. So if I can be excellent in my craft and I can participate in projects that give people hope and inspire them to be good in the world, and then they see me living my life in a way that they go, oh, wait, that's different. What's different about that? Then I feel like I'm doing what he's called me to do. And I just look at every project that way when I'm considering whether or not I want to be a part of it. I think, God, is there someone on set that I need to meet? Is this a message you want to get out to the world? There are a lot of different factors, but I just lean into God for wisdom and direction.
Wow. Yeah, and that's the only thing you can do, and when you're in a specific point. And what are you hoping from your character? How people are gonna learn from your character and learn from the story?
That it's okay to feel disconnected. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to have questions. It's good to share those things. Don't feel shame in having questions or feeling sad, and know that if you share, there is a community there to support you. But no one can support you and no one can help you unless you're open and vulnerable. Being vulnerable is one of the scariest things in the world that we do as humans, but it also brings about some of the most beautiful transformations in life when you're able to say, I'm hurting, or I'm scared, or I have a million different questions, or I'm angry about why things are happening. If you can open up and say those things, then the right community can gather around you to lift you up.
That is the greatest advice. That is so true and so good. And to not judge when somebody does open up to you, right? To get judgment out of your life entirely, because I think sometimes that's why people don't open
Mhm.
up,
Yeah,
because they're afraid, right, of what people are going to think of them.
right. I mean, Jesus, friend of sinners. I think that it's important that we understand religion, but we understand relationship even more so because people do not care what we think until they know that we care about them. And that's the love of Christ. That is how we reach people first and foremost. We can't lead them to Christ until they know that we deeply care about them and love them like Christ.
Yes,
Wow,
so
so
true.
powerful,
So
Kim.
good.
And what did you get most out of it? Especially Ashley's performance.
What did I get
Yeah,
most out of
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Oh my word. First of all, the quality is excellent. Secondly, Ashley is now one of my favorite actresses ever. She's so good. And but thirdly, the way they handled every situation, because it's more than what we've talked about today. There's even more that goes on. And I love the story of redemption
Mm.
that Ashley finds Jesus again, comes back to her faith, and that their marriage, I think, going forward, if they were real people, their marriage is stronger than ever. And 9 months from now, she's having a baby. That's what I'm
Yeah,
going with.
we need to make a sequel. I'm just saying, if anybody's listening, maybe we should make a sequel.
How excited are you that you're on this platform, Great American Pure Flix, and the
Oh,
growth
yeah.
and how the original programming, how they're just really just continue to grow. It's amazing to see
Yeah.
what's
Every
happening.
single week, the platform's growing. I think more and more people are drawn to content that lifts up and inspires and gives hope, and that is, all about country and family and faith. People want that, and here we are creating awesome content that I think is really gonna lead people to Christ.
Definitely.
For sure. I think you're absolutely right. I lived this year trying to figure out the true meaning of love. And I was in Haiti most of the time. It blew my mind what I found out about love. And I look at you and love comes to mind. Like you exude it. You exude a joy and love. And I'm just curious, what does love mean to you? Or what part does love play in your life?
I think there's various factors when you're thinking about love. It is definitely sacrifice and surrender and patience and kindness. There's a lot of times we have to bite our tongue, right? But it's really, I don't know, joy. I find so much joy in loving people. I love life and I love people. I just do. And so maybe that's what you see. I just love all the time. And I think that gets me through a lot of difficult times. But it makes me happy. Love brings me joy in all different aspects.
And we could see it. You exude it, and I think that you
Well, thank
enjoy
you.
your what you do, and that's the
I
thing we
do.
need to tell young people today is it's not about how much money. It's about, do you really, are you living the life you really love? Why are we
Mhm.
doing this? There's got to be a purpose, and so many people are not living with a purpose. And
Mhm.
that is probably the biggest missing point. And that purpose is not just to be you, it needs to be everyone else around you. You're
Yeah.
you're creating your story with God. And you have to write that with God because God's not just going to do it for you. It's our free will to go out and do it. And we have to do it and not, and put the best life possible because that's what God wants for us.
I completely agree with that. There have been moments in my career where I felt like, I'm supposed to be happy. I'm living in the spotlight. I'm making movies. I'm living the dream, but there was something missing, and it was purpose.
And
That's huge.
gratitude too. Where
Oh
we
yes.
are today versus where we're going to be some other day, we
Hmm.
shouldn't be dwelling on, well, we're not here yet. We have
Yeah.
to have gratitude in what we were able to accomplish today and live this
Absolutely.
today. And that's for sure. So people can definitely go ahead and check out Great American Pure Flix's Finding Faith is available March 29th, right? Is
Yes.
that
And if
correct?
you don't have PureFlix yet, you can get a free trial at pureflix.com.
And we can find info on you. Where you on social media at?
Everywhere. Just Ashley Bratcher. Search me, you'll find me.
All right. Thank you again, Ashley.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kim. All right. That was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Love Is podcast, guys. Take care.